The smart dog, realizing its disenfranchised position, behaved very modestly and with dignity, without causing any trouble or inconvenience to others. She just sat quietly somewhere on the sidelines and patiently waited for her nurse. Marina still condemned Anna to herself for feeding some dog there, when things were so bad with food. Residents in the yard began to grumble with displeasure. They didn't like being so close to a tramp. In the end, Anna took the dog to her home, naming Dana. She began to take her for a walk on a leash, as it should be for the owner's dog to walk the streets of the city. The German woman noticeably recovered and prettier. Thinking about how much such a hefty dog eats, Marina considered her neighbor in the stairwell a very strange woman, not of the world. However, all the other inhabitants of their house and neighboring houses openly discussed the act of an abnormal dog from their point of view, who took home stray dog and giving him his bread. One day, when it was just beginning to dawn, Marina locked the sleeping babies in order to be in time for the line for bread, which had been busy since the evening, which was guarded by a woman from a neighboring house. She expected to be one of the first to get the still warm bread and return home at 8 o'clock, before her children wake up. Going out into the yard, she started towards the store, but before she had even taken a dozen steps, a rather large red-haired dog, coming from nowhere, approached her. It was evident from everything that she was hostile. The yard was empty, not a single person was in sight. Following the red dog, the woman, dumbfounded with horror, gradually began to be surrounded by a whole flock of angrily growling, starving dogs, hoping to get at least something to eat. There were about a dozen of them. Hunger drove them to people. Marina had only an empty bag with a purse in which the last money and coupons for bread lay, and a handkerchief in the pocket of her jacket. There was absolutely nothing to throw the evil dogs. The woman, preparing for the worst, clutched her bag tightly to her chest, closed her eyes, praying to herself for salvation and for the children left under lock and key. Now the dogs will deal with her and doom her children to starvation. Suddenly, their front door slammed loudly. Marina saw the same woman with her large shepherd dog picked up from the street on a leash. Marina felt very ashamed, because she condemned this woman for her kindness, for not remaining indifferent to the dying shepherd dog, who now saved her life, and therefore her children. If something happened to her, the mother, her two babies would simply disappear at such a difficult time. She, crying, thanked this woman and, forgetting her fear of big dogs, hugged her four-legged protector. Anna and her shepherd dog accompanied her to the store, and a couple of hours later Marina, alive and healthy, returned with bread to her children who continued to sleep peacefully. The next day, in the evening, there was a soft knock on the door of her apartment. There was no light. As always, electricity was given strictly by the clock. It was dark. Marina was afraid to open the door, but the knock was repeated. She lit a candle, which she kept very strictly, and went out into the corridor. "Who's there?" "Marina, don't be afraid. It's me, Anna." "Open." Slowly, she opened it. Anna was standing in the doorway. Dana was sitting next to her. "They brought me corn from the village. This is for you. Cook porridge for the children." She put a bundle with heavy cobs on the floor. "And here's another one, kids." The woman handed her a handful of caramels, placing them in her palm. Marina hardly squeezed out the words of gratitude. The surging tears squeezed her throat and did not allow her to speak. Anna and the shepherd left, and she stood and cried for a long time, clutching the presented sweets in her hand. A year and a half later, she was lucky enough to leave with her children for her native Samara, where she married her former and rather successful classmate. Getting out of poverty, Marina collected 2 parcels for Anna, putting sweets, cookies, roach and a beautiful warm scarf in one, and a new leather collar and a package of food for Dane in the other. In response, she received an envelope. It contained a piece of paper on which was written, "Thank you. Be happy. Anna and Dana," and below there was an imprint of a large dog paw. Shepherd Dane and the woman Anna, once condemned by horror, saved her and taught her one very important truth for life. Do not judge and you will not be judged.